Hey there, friends and enemies, Joper here again, and today I'm ranking all Titan exotics in Destiny 2 Season of Defiance, judging them based off of how good they are in PvE or PvP, how versatile they are across all different types of content, and how much fun they are as well. Because for me personally, that plays a big factor in whether I want to run something. So before you go into the comments and start telling me how terrible my takes are, or if I left off your favorite because it's actually cracked and you've beaten Master Raids with it, again, there's a lot of these various exotics that you can do that, and I'm not saying that my opinion is perfect, but this is just where I would rank them personally. So knowing all that, let's jump into it and start off with the Lorelei Splendor. This is one of the more versatile Titan exotics in the game. The new ornament is absolutely beautiful. I love this thing just because of that. But yeah, this thing, if you just want to slap on a exotic right now and not have to think about it with a solar build, this is the one. You can run it. You'll never die. It's very, very easy. Then we've got the Insurmountable Skull Fort, which I wish was better. It's still viable. Like, I think with some of the changes to the Arc 3.0, it actually became pretty solid again, just not with shoulder charge anymore. So keeping that in mind, I would run this in certain activities, but it's not really meant for endgame or anything like that. And it's not good in PvP, which is a bummer. Eternal Warrior is so ugly. Never going to run it. Never. You cannot convince me to run this thing. It is just not great. Like, Fist of Havoc isn't good in general, and this doesn't make it that much better. One-Eyed Mask, I think, is C tier now. Again, it was really good, really dominant for a long time, but currently it's just whatever. Like, it's fine. You can run it if you want to, but it's just not going to really carry you the way it once was. Once did. Kepri's Horn. This one, it works with Strand, which is interesting, and Drinker's Slash. That doesn't make it very good, though, unfortunately. It's fun. It's a viable option in, like, just casual content, but really not anywhere that it's going to shine. Precious Scars, I think, is better than a lot of people give it credit for, but it is rather niche, and so because of that, I think it's not going to ever be one of the more dominant exotics we're going to see. That being said, there are times when it can be very, very good, and surprisingly so. Then we've got the Lance-Cap. One of my favorites. I actually love this thing so much. It is very good. Stasis builds are underrated. If we get some stasis artifact mods one of these seasons, it's going to be tremendous. And it's just so much fun to run around and slam down with your Diamond Lances, or in harder activities, you can just chuck them everywhere, generate them pretty much constantly. It is phenomenal. Then we've got the Helm of Saint 14. This bums me out a little bit. I think it's C tier. I just don't think there's any place that it really is usable right now that is going to be better than other options personally. When you're in the bubble, it does its job, but other than that, it's not really going to... It's not going to be something that I want to rock all the time, although I have seen it in Fortress Iron Banner, which is hilarious to me. Now we're moving into the gauntlets, and we have no backup plans. This one is bad, in my opinion. It definitely needs a rework. I just don't really see it anywhere that this is going to be very good. Stronghold, this one's a bummer to me. I tried making a lot of builds with Stronghold, and I wanted it to be very good this season, but a guarding / healing sword build just isn't very good. Then we have the Aeon Gauntlets. This one I actually have at C tier. I know a lot of people really like these, but if I'm running a team, I would much rather have the Hunter have these on than the Titan for me personally. Port Cannon Contact Brace. This one right now I think is in C tier, but it's a lot of fun. I absolutely love these, and they're supposed to get a buff next season, and with that buff, plus maybe some arc perks on the artifact, could be phenomenal, so keep that in mind. Then we've got Citons. This one was dominant. It was S tier in PvP for so long. Now I think it's C tier. I don't think it's very good anymore. Feedback Fence right there. Again, Feedback Fence is a fun exotic to use, more so than a meta exotic to use, in my opinion, but jumping into the middle of a bunch of enemies, especially in PvP or something like that, can be very, very good. Ursas, these were once dominating the PvE meta, but right now I think there's just better options, so they're going to go C right there. This is going to surprise a lot of people. I actually have the Second Chance Gauntlets up at B. I ran them early on when I was rocking the Root of Nightmares raid, which surprised a lot of people. But they're very good right now against barrier champions. The shield throw, what a lot of people don't realize, that second shield throw is actually huge because every time you hit an enemy with a shield throw, you get an overshield if you build your character right. So essentially, I had a overshield when I would rock my barricade, and then another one when I would throw my shield. So I could get my overshield back all the time. And it in content where you don't want to die, it is very, very good, and I think it's underrated. Syntheseps, uh, these would be A or S tier with the before the glaive nerf because of how much fun they were, but they're right there. I think personally, right in the B tier. Actually, I think I would put them C tier just because there's really no builds that I'm like, oh, I have to use these right now. Then we've got the Doomfangs again. These used to be my favorite. I would never take them off. They're actually really good at generating super energy, but ultimately, I just don't think they're going to dominate anywhere personally. So now we are rocking the Icefall Mantle. This one is D tier right now. The slowdown you get when you rock this, the Overshield is fun to walk around like as a tanky character, but the slow that you get just isn't worth it. Same thing with Ashen Wake. I wish this one was better. If we get a season where fusion grenades are very, very good, then that'll be nice. But ultimately, I think that's where they belong. Moving on, we got the Worm God Caress. Again, there's been a lot of changes to the melee builds. I think melee builds can be very good. I just don't think Worm Gods are doing it right now. Personally, for me, Crest Alpha Loopy I think are underrated. This one is interesting to me. Oh, I missed Master of the Quiet One. This is unfortunately going to be like right around C tier as well. It's one of those that I just wish was better, Mask of the Quiet One, because it has a lot of potential, but it's never really dominated. Acting War Rig, I think, is B. I personally would put it A, actually. It's so much fun with target lock on LMGs. It's very good. You can run something like Thunderlord. You can run Sweet Business. There's a lot of options right now, and I just love the play style of that. I know not everyone's going to agree, but it is what it is. I think that's always going to be the case when we're talking about these exotics. Then we've got Curus, which A tier. It's always going to be very viable because of the strength of the Thunder Crash with it. Essentially, if you're running Thunder Crash PvE, you're always going to want this on to buff it now, especially with the nerf to the Heart of Inmost Light. Then we've got the Hollow Fire Heart. I think is C tier. It's fine. I'm gonna go B tier. I think this is pretty versatile with some of the builds that you can make, but ultimately, you're going to want to use your super, so that kind of detracts from it a little bit, and that's one of the downsides to having this on. I'm going to go C tier. I'm going to trust my gut originally. So then we've got the Severance Enclosure. This one is a hell of a lot of fun. I actually think this is here. So a lot of people think this is not that good, but I definitely disagree. I think it's actually quite fun and viable across different types of content. Then we've got that. Right there, Armamentarium is solid. Better now that the Heart of Inmost Light got nerfed. Hoarfrost Z, this is going to surprise people, but I think this is S tier. I think it's good in PvP. I think it's good in PvE. A lot of people underrate this thing. I was for a long time, but my opinion has definitely changed on that. Heart of Inmost Light is still A tier just because you can wear this all the time, never take it off. It's not going to be as good as once was. It's not S tier, but I think people underrate it now a little bit because of the nerf and feeling like, oh, the difference in feel is definitely something that I can understand people being frustrated by, but I think it's still very good. Anti-swords are B. If they work right, if you get them down, they can be a lot of fun in PvP. The problem is I often find myself getting killed by the architects when I rock them. So maybe that's a skill issue, but MK Standicide's not good. I just don't see any reason to run these ever. Say for shoulder charge is fine, but you could just run Juggernaut but like the problem is because shoulder charges aren't one hit right now, you're safer until you get the shoulder charge off, and then you're probably going to have a bad time. Peacekeepers are S tier right now. In PvP specifically, I think these are going to get a nerf sooner than later, but I know a lot of people will be excited about that. Peregrine Greaves. This is where I'm probably going to deviate from a lot of people. These are my favorite exotic in PvP personally. One hit shoulder charges. I do it all the time. People get mad at me. I don't care. It is a blast to play, and I will stand by that. Abeyant Leap. These are phenomenal. These are, you can use them in PvP, PvE, end game content, everywhere, anywhere. Those strand builds with them are absolutely insane. Lion Rampart. I mean, y'all use them for jumping puzzles sometimes, but otherwise they're pretty much useless. In my opinion, I know some people will use them in PvP. I never have. I've never really cared for them. Path of the Burning Steps, I think, is B. You can make some really sick builds with them, but ultimately, I think they are fine, but not spectacular. Then we've got Dune Marcher, same here. It's going to drop right in that B tier. And then finally, we have the Phoenix Cradle. So this is one I wish was better, but I think is personally a C tier. This is going to be my list. Again, a lot in C tier right now. I'm hopeful that with the new season, we do get a lot of buffs to some of these lesser used exotics. There's a lot of them that need some love. And some of these, I think, with a different... See, this is where it gets interesting, because when we get different artifact perks and different mods available and different abilities that work with weapon perks, then we're going to start seeing some of these underused exotics rise up to the top a little bit more than people might think. So anyway, let me know what you guys think of my tier list, if I'm wrong, how I'm wrong, whether I'm right, all that kind of stuff. My name is Jopa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out tremendously, shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.